Rowena Gilpin, Unilever Africa, Sustainable Plastics Manager, Africa Supply Chain.
Damn, I thought I was off the hook. I am going to use the podium because my throat is not playing ball with me today, so apologies in advance. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having us and this opportunity to share a little about what we as Unilever have been able to achieve since publishing our plastic goals in 2018. It's nothing new. You've heard it from Coke, you've heard it from Spar. Woolies is also doing similar things, Pepsi, all of us. We're all trying. I wanted to talk about our role as a brand owner as well, in how we design our packaging, but also as the voice of the consumer. Circular economy and packaging is a work in progress, and it reminds me of the old adage, how do you eat an elephant? And it is piece by piece, and together makes it easier. Okay. Unilever really strives to be synonymous with sustainability. As one of the world's largest consumer goods companies, we're driven by our purpose to make sustainable living commonplace. We have a long-held belief that being a responsible, sustainable business makes us a stronger, better business. This focus on doing well by doing good goes all the way back to our founder, William Lever, who launched Sunlight Soap in Victorian Britain to help tackle infectious diseases. And it's been with us ever since, in all the work we do around the world. We believe that we can use our size and our scale for good, to make a difference to people and the planet. These are some of our 2021 achievements globally, and they range from reduction in greenhouse gas emissions, zero non-hazardous waste to landfills across our factories and sites since 2014, year on year, sourcing our electricity from renewable sources, and why we're here today, making our plastic packaging reusable, recyclable, or compostable where applicable. Spending our spend with diverse business owners from underrepresented representative groups, as well as helping people through health, well-being, equity, and inclusion. We are pleased that the work that we are doing is being recognized globally by some of these organizations, GlobeScan, the Dow Jones Sustainability Indices, as well as CDP and Gartner Supply Chain. Unilever's strategy is called the Unilever Compass, and at the heart of it is our purpose, to make sustainable living commonplace for all. Alongside it is our vision, to be the global leader in sustainable business and to demonstrate how our purpose-led, future-fit business model drives superior performance. It is based on three beliefs: that brands with purpose grow, companies with purpose last, and people with purpose thrive. This is a visual representation of our conviction that business and sustainability are indivisible. And while sustainability is integrated into everything we do, much of our sustainability story is told through our brands, which are a force for good, powered by purpose and innovation. We have set ourselves some very clear targets to drive climate action, protect and regenerate agriculture and nature, and build a waste-free world. Critically, these targets won't just drive action in our own operations, but across the value chain. Ahead of legislative requirements in many of our markets, we set out our audacious 2025 plastic goals. These include halving our virgin footprint with an absolute reduction of plastic out of our value chain by 100,000 tons, to collect and process more plastic packaging than we sell, and ensure that 100% of our plastic packaging is designed to be fully reusable, recyclable, or compostable, while using a minimum of 25% recycled plastic in our packaging. This has become our mantra and our framework: less plastic, better plastic, and no plastic. By cutting down how much plastic we use in the first place through lighter designs, reuse and refill formats, as well as concentrated products, we use less plastic. Excuse me. Better plastic, making sure that the plastic we use is designed to be recycled and includes recycled content. And finally, no plastic, by using refill stations and formats, cutting out new plastic completely, and switching to alternative packaging, such as paper, glass, or aluminium, where it makes environmental sense. In 2022, we've managed to achieve less 13% virgin plastic. Our PCR usage is already at 21% versus our total footprint. And our packaging is currently 71% technically recyclable. We've collected only 58% of our footprint so far, but we're on track to get that to 100 by 2025. The challenges we face are industry-wide, primarily driven by the lack of collection and recycling infrastructure. And while we're working with partners to close this gap, we also need policymakers to level the playing field and help facilitate the implementation of solutions at scale. And that is why we are advocating for a robust, legally binding UN Global Plastic Treaty, which seeks to harmonize global standards and set mandatory targets, which will help reduce plastic pollution. Now, onto some more South Africa-specific examples, and probably one of our best-known ones. Was launched in 2018 and is the Sunlight dishwashing liquid, 100% recycled bottle. This took many years of hard work, not only by our own teams, but with our converters and, most importantly, our recyclers. Through just this one change, we've managed to take out 1,000 tons of virgin plastic per annum. Also, in our home care and laundry ranges, most of our bottles have between 25 to 100% post-consumer recycled content, with the exception of our bleach bottles, which is a little bit more tricky, but we're working on it. We're also working on including post-consumer recycled material into our flexible packaging. And this is one of the trickiest things, which I'll talk a little bit more about later. With its roots in naturals, organics has made significant progress towards sustainable packaging. It's really a good example of how a team has interrogated its packaging. What do we actually need? How big does it have to be? What is critical to the use of the product and transporting it versus what is nice to have? And how can we make the packaging better? 75% of the organics range is made of recycled content, with some bottles ranging from 25% all the way up to 97% recycled packaging. Most recently, the team has launched 98% PCR in our 200 and 400 ml shampoo closures, which is really, it's a first for Unilever globally, and it's very, very exciting. Staying with hair, our 900 ml Tresemme bottles include an average of 55% recycled content. Across the Dove range, all of our Dove bottles are made of 100% recycled plastic. And this is shampoo, conditioner, body wash, as well as body lotion. Moving on to Vaseline, our 400 and 625 ml bottles are made of 25% PCR. Dawn, most of the range has 100% recycled bottles. There's just a few exceptions and a couple of variants. Also, quite recently, we've made progress in our nutrition business group to move our Norix soya mince packaging to a technically recyclable format. Devin mentioned the OPRL guidelines. We can't claim recyclability on this yet. It is not yet widely recycled. However, we do understand that the first step is to make it into something that can be recycled, at least in the future. Currently, we sit in South Africa with 98% of our rigid packaging portfolio as technically recyclable, which sounds great, but our flexibles have yet to get to that level. And this is part of what we're driving and developing with our value chain. We understand that we cannot do this alone, and we have several partnerships with Oxfam in Ekurhuleni, collecting, the African Reclaimers Organization, along with CCBSA in Johannesburg, and Imagine If in KZN. Some of the other examples that I've actually not put pictures up of are, and one you might have noticed on shelf, is the roll-ons, so your Shield, Dove, etc. Your bottles have got smaller. They use 30% less plastic. And many consumers have complained and said they're getting less product, but it's actually the same amount of product in a much more efficient packaging. We've also changed the polymer type to enable future PCR inclusion, and you'll see that starting to happen in our other packaging formats, where the polymer might change, so the look and feel might change slightly. We've also launched concentrated refills in Handy Andy floor cleaner, and starting to sell triggerless or pumpless bottles as well. I was asked to speak about our case studies and our successes, but I thought it would be remiss of me not to speak about some of the challenges and what we are working on. And I was very pleased to hear Devin talking about the work with the Plastics Pact. We are trying our hardest to work as an industry together to move to recyclable, flexible structures. We spoke about a level playing field yesterday as well, where unless we all move together, we will face higher costs and then make our products less affordable to people. But if we move together, we can develop local supply, we can share the cost burden, and we can bring the cost down and make it more affordable. Not related to plastic, but we are working on the local recyclability of aerosols. Excuse me. Some of our cans actually have a plastic component, and you need to remove this in order to recycle the can, and then recycle the plastic too. Before I close, and this is where I go slightly off topic, is I'd like to challenge you all to not think as industry experts, but to think of yourselves as consumers, and to vote with your rands. Interrogate the packaging your goods come in. Which brands or retailers are offering better or less plastic? Is there a refill option available? Small actions really can lead to big change. Some of the recyclers spoke yesterday about demand and using a carrot. And instead of the stick of legislation, we as consumers can create the demand. We can start the trend. And it reminds me of that social media post we saw a few years ago with the turtle with a straw up its nose, and how globally consumer perception changed seemingly overnight and behavior changed. It may not have been to the right thing. It wasn't even about the biggest problem facing plastic, but it was a catalyst for change. And I challenge you to be the catalyst for change as consumers. Thank you.